So here, uh, 4, 8, 17 to 20, we're discussing. The first verse. The Dirgam Swasanti Vrijnasya Param Apasyati Balak Maha Bala Ma Amangalam Tata Pareshu Mamsta Bhunkte Jano Yat Paradukadastat. So, first line, Dirgam Swasanti Vrijnasya Param. Param means limitation. Immediate understanding. Let's see, look at the verse and understand the first and foremost what Suniti is going through. Suniti understood, first of all, her own limitation. She is heavily breathing, first point, and then param, limitation. She understood her own limitation, that she will not be able to do anything because she is in an inferior position. She was not a favorite queen. Apasyati balakam, and she is not also. She couldn't find any reason. She couldn't find any other way out of this situation. Understanding limitation and going with the same apasyati, both goes together, param and apasyati. Balakam aha bala, and both Dhruva is 5 years old, small boy, and Bala, she is also being a lady, that too in an inferior position, not a main queen, and that became like a, she is not in a good position to come out of the situation. And then further, Ma Amangalam, and she said to her son that don't wish ill fortune. Tata Pareshu Mamsta, desire. This desire is very important. Amangalam, ill fortune. Mamsta, Bhunkte, suffers. This is also important. Janoyat Paradukkadas, one who is inflicting pain upon others, and the person who is inflicting, he will also suffer momentarily, or maybe immediate, right away, or much later on. So it could be anyway. So now let's look at, this is a direct meaning which we look at from the verse. That's why there is no purport, because it is direct, you can clearly see. Now the intricate details of this verse, let's understand. First thing is, she is heavily breathing. She is situated in mode of goodness. This is the first point we have to understand. One must come to try to be in the situated in the mode of goodness, at least as much as possible we should be. That means in our actions, in our characteristics on a day-to-day life, the activities which we do, we should be try to, means including the yukta ahara viharas yukta chetasya karma swapna avabodhasya sadukha. So one must get up early in the morning, yukta ahara, regulate basically. Regulate, goodness means we will regulate basically. We will not be in too much passion, overly attached to things and overly crazy about things, or at the same time we will not procrastinate and too much lazy of everything. We don't get anything job done right. We take long time, we sleep a lot, we eat a lot. So like this, so there is complete full laziness and tiredness and callousness. So it's better, we should be at least consider this point. This applies to all of us, including me. So we should consider this first and foremost point of somehow or the other, I have to plan my life in such a way that we should come to this mode of goodness. That's what Prabhupada said to one place, to Dhruva Das. Man is the architect of his own future. What is done is done. Now at least come to the understanding that take Krishna consciousness seriously and make bright future. Then you go back to Godhead. Prabhupada simplified in this just 2 lines. So it's up to us which way we want to go and where we want to go. So that's why. So this heavily breathing means she is expressing, she is in mode of goodness. That's why she didn't, even though she has that anger or frustration, lamentation, heavily breathing, seemingly, but because in mode of goodness, she didn't say anything, and rather she is instructing on top of it to her son. If somebody is in passion and ignorance, he will not instruct. He himself will be angry and he will create a chaos there for himself, and what he will instruct others. He will criticize and he will find faults and so many things. But that is the first point. And param, limitation. This limitation also. So basically, there is limitation is nothing but she understood her own limitation. What it means is we are susceptible to things. We are vulnerable to things. So another indirect meaning of this limitation is devotees are general. Even devotee or not devotee, the limitation is vulnerabilities. How we dress, what we do, what kind of job we take up, in what time, place, account, we have to be very cognizant of this fact. That like So a man dressing inappropriately, more women dressing inappropriately. So are too much, like you are going downtown and you are wearing a jewelry and so many things. Yes, you can wear it, no problem. But what is it? You are bringing a vulnerability yourself, situation into yourself. So this is like this example. So vulnerability, you can be in that situation. You can cause that situation by yourself, by your own actions. So don't make that cause yourself. So try to understand that and try to be in a more position and situate yourself in the way we dress, in the way we talk to others. Don't become vulnerable. So what kind of job we take up, what kind of whom we hear from, whom we associate with. These are all vulnerabilities. Yes, too much you associate with those who are completely in mental speculation, those who are against this, completely envious of God, and who are in the Mayavad theory, illusion, completely just renouncing everything, or they are then completely that is also you are bringing vulnerability. More you hear, more you associate with them. Those are not even fully Krishna conscious. They are not on the platform of bhakti. Then it's not going to help. That's another vulnerability. So that's why we have to make conscious choices in our actions, in our way we dress, in the way we go, in the way we put ourselves in situations. So that we have to be careful. That's what limitation. We have to understand it. We are not Prabhupada, we are not Haridas Thakur, we are not Ambarish Maharaj. They could handle it. Any situation they didn't care. They are not afraid of. Because they are fully taken shelter. We are not in that position. That's why we have to understand this limitation and don't bring vulnerability. Don't bring that situation ourselves first, in the first place. That is the first instruction from this verse. Then apasyati balaka mahabala. Apasyati. We are not able to see the future. Apasyati, she is not able to find the fault, but apasyati also, we can see that Parikshit Sukadeva Goswami addressing Parikshit Maharaj. Tesham pramatva nidram pasyam nap apasyati. Nidraya hirite raktam bhava ena cha bhavaya. And they are not able to see. Everybody working, everybody is doing something. They know that his father, grandfather, everybody passed away. And so much he is engaging in so many activities, but he is not realizing what will be the end, where he is going to go. And he also has to give up this body and take another body again. Everybody has to go through that. Then what are we doing about it in life? So are we? Where is our end goal? We want to continue this life like this life and next life again and again, go through the same. We want to not become permanently happy. So how we can do that? So that doesn't mean we completely detach and give up the action, give up the work. No, that is never instructed, neither in Bhagavatam nor in Bhagavad Gita. Throughout, regulated action has been recommended. Always, we must not give up the work at all. So that is clearly given. So again and again, Arjuna keep asking the same question. 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, 5th chapter. Lord Krishna is stressing again and again. Action with the devotion is better than inaction, better than giving up work and completely going to forest. That kind of sannyas is not going to work. Especially for Kali Yuga, it's not going to work. So that we have to understand. Opposite, we have to see, we have to awaken ourselves to the actual path of perfection, the transcendence, transformation. In our heart has to have transformation. That means we have to do something about it, reality, practically. Prabhupada said, one devotee used to, as Krishna Balaram Mandir used to come out and glorify, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada as comes out, he always used to glorify. Then Prabhupada saw so much rain was there and day before and so much puddle of water everywhere in front of the temple. Then he said, do something practical. Why don't you do something? So Prabhupada chastised him that way. Because you have to do something practical, not just simply theory. We must do something. So that is the second line instruction. And then Ma amangalam tata pareshu mamsta. Ma amangalam means don't inflict pain upon others. Amangalam, don't wish infortune. Ma amangalam, what is it? Ill fortune, yeah. So Suniti was so much in a mode of goodness, and she is able to clearly, very clear in her mind that by inflicting, that means she is aware of the transcendental knowledge. This is what is very important. Someone who has transcendent how he acts, you can clearly see from her actions. She is instructing her son, don't wish ill fortune to your mother Suruchi, even though she is bad, even though she instructed badly, negatively, that you have to die, you cannot sit on your father's lap. She is so envious. She is envious means means not allowing others to do it. Just like the cow killing is envious. Why? Because the natural quality of a cow, any living entity, to live. You're not allowing somebody, you are forcing, not letting live that cow. That is enviousness. Same way here, Dhruva Maharaj, as a son of Uttama, our own son of Surichi's son is Uttama and Suniti's son is Dhruva. Both are eligible, qualified to sit. But she's not allowing, because of envious nature, she's not letting him sit. So that is envious nature. So this is what Prabhupada clearly differentiates why you are saying envious when it's meat eating. This is what enviousness definition is. This is what it is. So Suniti is clearly telling, don't wish infortune. That means we should be careful in any situation. If somebody is criticizing, somebody is saying something bad or doing something, don't immediately react and say something back. So because that is going to cause hurt. The reaction is a huge thing. Karanam gunasanga sad asad janma yonishu. We are taking the reaction, because of that we are taking the karma in this life. Purusha prakrutisto bhunte jair guna. We are suffering for that reactions. Just like Dhritarashtra asked after the Kurukshetra war, hey, why did I suffer? Why did all my 100 sons were killed? Then Lord Krishna said, yes, 50 lifetimes ago, you shoot an arrow, that arrow, like with feather, that all 100 birds were killed right away. You shoot 100, not even one. Then why didn't I get the karma right away? Yes, because to get one son or one daughter, you need to have pious credit. And then you don't have enough pious credit, then that's why you have to wait 50 lifetimes. So 50 lifetimes, then he has 100 kids because 100 birds were killed. 100 lives he has taken away by one sharp arrow. Then that's what happened, reaction. You see the reaction? So you cannot expect that God, why are you giving me this reaction, that reaction? We are not seeing what has happened in the past lives. So that's why this, by wishing ill fortune, by cursing others without realizing, because other person is doing, I am going to do the same thing. No, but then we will have to suffer also. So that's why we have to be very careful. Ma amangalam tat pareshu mamsta. Bhungte janoyat paradukkadastat. We will suffer because of that. And then mamsta, desires. This is a very important point also in this verse. Limitation and these desires and wishing ill fortune. These three are the important points in this verse. The desire. Desires has to be purified. We cannot give up desires. We have to transform our material desire to spiritual desires. How are we going to do that? So that means the anarthas has to be removed. So the desires in the heart, the proclivities in the heart, mind, consciousness, the jnanendriya, karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, especially jnanendriyas. So that's why, as I say, the jnanendriyas, which are eyes, ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin, these 5 jnanendriyas, knowledge acquiring senses, will be always vulnerable. So we should be very careful in what we desire to see, what we desire to eat, what we desire to touch, what we desire to smell. That we have to be cognizant, conscious. More we are in that transcendental platform, more we are in touch with another, like smelling the flower offered to the Lord, garland, smelling the incense, smelling the scent which is offered. Like every day we see any ISKCON temple you go, they offer all these articles, the flower, the incense, the agaru, the scent, they offer. When they Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Bhajami, Mangala, the Sangararati, that time they offer scent to the lordships also. Because the Lord is a person. That instruction is also coming from verse number 20. So that's it is very important instruction. So we should be, desires must be transformed into material, into spiritual desires. That's all. We must dovetail. That is the main aspect. So now the unwanted things, how will we remove? Because it is explained as this is a creeper. We are like a creeper. Creeper cannot go on its own. It needs somebody's assistance. It has to hold on to something. Then it can grow. But while growing, obviously any plant you see, there are so many weeds. So You can, like if you are growing a plant, you are growing grains like rice or wheat or something. We all know in agriculture that they fertilize and they first of all till the land and everything. So that's all. Our body is like that place of action, kshetra. So we must become kshetrajna. We should know our body. How will we know more about ourselves and our actual real thing, not the material thing, not the temporary, but the reality, absolute reality? More we know about the real sarva kshetra, kshetrajna, sarva kshetreshu bharata. All bodies, everything knower is Supreme Knower is Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. By knowing about Him and by knowing our relation with Him, then we will know more about our reality also. And our original relationship, original rasa, and what we are supposed to do. And He will give the intelligence and forgetfulness. If you don't want Him, then He will give forgetfulness. Sarvasya chaham hrudhi samvishto matta smritir gnanam apavanach. He will give forgetfulness, He will also give remembrance if you want to. It is our own choice. Coming back to the point. So when we grow a paddy field, then there are so many weeds. The weeds are nothing but anarthas. You can't see. If you don't detect early on, then and they employ people. They cannot do. The farmer doesn't do himself. We engage so many people. So this is nothing but devotees. This is nothing but the shastra. This is nothing but the spiritual master mainly. Then he engages spiritual master and his devotees and shastra, and will help to remove these anarthas, the weeds which are growing. It will take time. It's not going to be easy. In any paddy, any field, same way this body, the heart is a field of action. And then as you perform an action, as you grow things, then things will pop up. Then we have to remove that. We have to detect and remove. It's not going to be easy job, but we have to go through this process of transformation. So that we must be under the guidance in the association of devotees and the spiritual master. That is first and foremost. Then even when things come out also, as it grows, initially itself they have to remove the weeds, and then finally rice crop comes out, wheat crop comes out, whatever crop, grain, then there will be sand, there will be things. And the Prabhupada explained these material desires are like a sand and stone within the heart. So it's very hard to remove, because I know I'm coming from rice mill background, so where we have to go through, through machinery, the stones and sand to come out from the rice. You have to go through almost 4 or 5 chambers, and finally it comes out. There is a way it moves back and forth, back and forth. Then slowly the stones and sand will come in the front, and then it will fall off, and the rice will remain on the back. So that will be the thing. And they polish. That's the polish is different, but the separating the stones and thing. This is like a crow and swan business. Crow is always assembling a dirty place. That means the mind, our heart, these gnanendriyas are always trying to take us back to the dirty places like the crows. But we have to, by associating with the road like swans, paramahamsas, then the swans are always assembled at the clean rivers, lakes, those places only. They don't go to dirty places. So this is how we have to divert our mind, our consciousness, our gnanendriyas, eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, the touch, the tongue, all these things must be gradual. It is a gradual progress. We all have to go through this process, but we have to start working on it. If we don't do anything, then nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen at the end of the day, and we give up this body. We don't know when. But whenever that's going to happen, then we won't be able to do anything at that time. It's too late, because we haven't done any action towards that. So we can't expect the result automatically suddenly will appear like a magic. As this is the rice or any grain, you have to remove the sand and these stones in the heart, like we removed from the grains. So nobody likes. Just like when you buy things, you like in jeera or in rice or any pulses. That's why you go to a store which has a much more better quality. You don't want to buy things and then come home and every time you have to clean the rice, every time you have to clean whatever grains. So much sand and stones. It is very difficult. So that's why you buy clean things. Same way, so nobody likes to have all this dirtiness in our heart. So if you look at it, so that's why we have to follow this process so that we become clean. So that's why this is the process of anartha nivritti, the process of detecting and removing it. So that's why this desires is a big aspect of it. Then like you buy a coriander or methi, there's so much sand, you have to wash first and then cut it and then put it in water 2-3 times. You have to rinse it, and so that make sure no sand. Sometimes too much sand is there. because the rainy season depends how they grow, sometimes too much. Then you have to wash, otherwise nobody can eat that curry or sabji. So then that's why, depending on how much sinful activity you have performed in the past life, so that will linger in our heart, in our mind, in our all these jnanendriyas everywhere, the network of illusion. Then it becomes so it becomes very difficult to remove this desires, these material desires. So that's why we have to be cognizant of this fact, what's going on in our jnanendriya, what is going on in our heart, in our life, where our desires are taking us, which path it is taking us. So that way we know so where we are going, and accordingly we have to. That's why the main and more important thing is and the association of devotees. That's why hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that Srimad Bhagavatardhanam Aswado Rasika is Saha Sajatiya Ase Snigde Sadhu Sange Sadovare. Those who have attachment to the Srimad Bhagavatam hearing and developed a taste, and those are fixed up faith and fixed up in service towards Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, Sajatiya, by associating with them, by hearing from them, Snigde, Sadhu Sangha Sato Vare, then automatically we will also become purified. And in that way we will be able to clear up. This is a long topic, but I will cut short. Much more to say on this verse. I only gave a principle. We haven't discussed the detail. Now the 18 is talking about she understood, and then she is telling that it is the fact that you have taken a worth from my womb, and unfortunate woman, so that is fine. But in the next verse 19 is telling vimatsara, enviousness. How will we remove this enviousness? Vimatsara means without being envious. Don't become envious of your stepmother. What she instructed is correct. What she is instructing, Aradhya Adokja Pada Padmam. One must worship. She is instructing. Immediate direct instruction coming from this 19 and 20 is worshipping the Supreme Lord. Aradhya Adokshaja means with our blunt senses we cannot understand Krishna. Ada Akshaja. Ada Krata Akshaja iti Jnanam Adokshaja. That is the definition of Ada. Means with blunt material sense we cannot approach Supreme Lord. So only when we purify through the process of transformation, then we will be able to. That's why the knowledge I explained in many times before, the Pratyaksha, Paroksha, Aparoksha, Adokshaya, Aprakruta. Aprakruta is the highest in the spiritual world. Adokshaya is one level below. Pratyaksha is directly what you see. Paroksha is as you hear. So then receiving knowledge and descending, that is Paroksha. Aparoksha, after you apply, after receiving knowledge, is Aparoksha. Then you gradually move on to, after slowly gradual apply, then you come to the platform of Adokshaya. Then when you completely liberated and enter into spiritual, that becomes Aprakruta. So that's a Aradhya Adokshaja Padapadmam. One must worship the Supreme Lord, Padapadmam, lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and his spiritual master. That is the instruction from verse number, and give up the envious attitude. How we do that we are going to discuss. And verse number 20, here also same thing. Isyangri Padmam Paricharya Vishwa Vibhavanaya. By worshipping that lotus feet, Angri Padmam, it is instructing Padam, because Lord Brahma, by who example also she is giving, because in the previous verse she told worship, but who has done it? Why should I do? What are we going to get it? Because you may not believe, because he is only 5 years old. You are telling me to worship. But is it going to be happen? Because he is telling you I have to give up this body and enter into her womb. Then only I can sit. I don't know. It's going to happen. I am only 5 years old. By just simply worshipping, I can attain that. It seems not impossible. Not possible. She may not take it. He may not believe it. So that's why immediately she is giving an example of Lord Brahma, who what he has done by performing austerity. He worshipped the Supreme Lord. How he performed austerity and penance by following in the devotional practice, not karma kanda, which are not engaging in fruitive activity, not even jnana kanda, not announcing things and going. No, he actually wants to work, because that is his job, is to procreate. What he has to do, what is his position, how he can do, because he is not able to have the knowledge. He forgot everything. So then that's why he is praying and worshipping and severe engage in austerity and penances to receive the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Padam Jitatma, and he controlled the mind and senses. Jitatma Swasanavi Vandyam. Now let's understand how we attain immediate things. So from this verse, what we understand is a few things. First one is, one must approach. How to get the mercy of the Lord? One must approach the Lord even if you have material desires. It's okay. Even if you have material desire, any desire you have, we must approach the Supreme Lord only, not anybody else. Akama sarvakama moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena ejeta purusham param. So full of desires or no desires, you want to liberate, merge, whatever you have, everything you can approach Supreme Lord, because that will be highly beneficial. Even in case if you are worshipping demigod, you are approaching, at least worship that let me attain the favor and the mercy of the Supreme Lord, become close to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Then they will, because that is Durga Devi's master is Lord Vishnu. That is he is the master of Durga Devi. He is the master of Lord Shiva also. Lord Shiva is always meditating on Vasana. Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam. And Bhagavan Mano Vidiye. That's what Lord Shiva himself is telling. Again and again he tells. Parvati Devi asked also, that's what he told. So, what is the highest form of worship is, and that is what? Aradhanam sarvesham param tasmat Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Worshipping the Lord Vishnu is the highest, and even further than that, worshipping his devotees, Tulsi Maharani. Tadiya means any of them. His devotees, Tulsi Maharani, all of them. So then that's even more, because you cannot directly attain Krishna without the mercy of the devotees. That's coming up. That is the first point, foremost point. Approaching Lord even if you have material, that's fine. That's the first thing. And then you must at least have this goal. We must aim high and keep bar high and goal high. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, Suniti is instructing that she is keeping the goal high. Brahma has done it. Not even she's not talking about his own father, Vatanapada, her husband, or not even talking about Swayambhava. He's talking about the example of Brahma, grandfather, great grandfather. So that is aiming high, keeping the goal high, because nothing is impossible. But at least you should have that goal. Then slowly, gradually we can attain. If we don't even have that, then where are we going to go? That is the second point. Next is, we must deserve. We must earn the qualification. Then we have to desire. As we discussed about desire. Now we have to understand how we have to earn our qualification. We must deserve. That means that is coming up. Further details of how we can earn. Next point we have to understand is how to communicate with the Lord. You are telling worship. How are you going to communicate? Worship means you have to communicate. That means. So that means, just like the day-to-day example I will give. I am giving from IT example because most of us are in IT world. So think about meeting your first boss, or first time you are going to new job. You are meeting first boss. Then how will you serve? How to serve him? How to please him? Understanding what he likes, what he doesn't like, how he wants things to be done. So that we try to understand. And we are going to the meeting first time, or later also, we will be well prepared externally, how we present ourselves, and also internally. If it is a serious meeting, important meeting with our boss or superiors, it's even more. We really get thorough in our presentation, how we dress, how we do everything. We are very carefully do the everything externally also. Same way, but devotional brings also the presentation of it is Lord is personal. So that's how we present, how we do. That means wearing tilak, kantimala, because this is protection that is coming up. Next instruction, nice thing. So we have to present ourselves externally, and we have to have that internal nice mood of devotion, love for the Lord. This is very, very important. Then only you can communicate. Otherwise, how can you communicate? You will be out in just a few days. If you don't have that, if you don't understand your boss and understand what he likes, what he doesn't like, then there is no way. That's why we understand from Srila Prabhupada or Acharyas. When we read and hear, then we know how we should offer, what we should offer, how to worship, how to communicate with the Lord in different ways. This will be understood. If we don't even hear or understand, read, then how will we know? How are we going to communicate with the Lord? There is no communication. So then we are staying away from the Lord. Then Lord also give forgetfulness rather than remembrance. Then the next aspect is become attentive, especially in attentive and inattentiveness in everything. This is very important because Brahma, how will we be able to control his senses if he is not attentive? How will we meditate and penance for so long period he did? One day of Brahma means so long, many lifetimes for us. That long he did. Then how is it? Because attentiveness. That's what is bringing up the point of attentiveness and inattentiveness in chanting. In our worship, we have to be very attentive in our deity worship. Even if it is pictures at home or at temple. And our services, devotion services also, we should be very attentive to the details. And then how to avoid inattentiveness. Inattentiveness itself is a big topic. You have to know your patterns. You have to detect where you are doing wrong, where you are being inattentive, multitasking things while chanting. We should hear clearly. We should pronounce clearly. We should do fast because otherwise mind will grab and think this, think that. We have to plan ahead of the time. We have to do the japa affirmations like chanting the six ashtakam, chanting samsara dava, chanting these beautiful prayers. That is coming up. How will we do that? Shortcut I will give in an acronym. Then we will understand. But in attentive to chant, we have to understand our pattern. In our chanting, in our worship, especially in chanting, we should understand our pattern. We shouldn't make a habit watching cell phone, watching TV while chanting, or hearing class and chanting. No, that is not approved. That is only approved, only certain, and the spiritual master has to give that instruction. That because he is doing so much service, he doesn't have time. Yes, while class going on, he can sit in a class and chant. That's very rarely given, hardly any few exceptions. That is not allowed at all. That means we have to plan ahead of the time. The priorities, everything, we have to plan. Otherwise, it is inattentiveness. This will go on because that behavior will continue. We will never be able to come out because it will take long time to come out of that situation because you created a pattern for the brain, mind, these Jnanendriyas. It's very difficult. That's why the minute we understand, we detect, we have to start cutting it. We start doing something to come out of these inattentiveness of chanting, inattentiveness in our worship, in our services, in our dealing with Vaishnavas. All these are very important. Now here it is talking about, so it is, and Dhruva Maharaj is giving that example, Brahma is giving that example that it can be done in one lifetime. If we follow the example of Dhruva Maharaj, we can attain, by following under the guidance of Guru. Now the acronym I am going to give, we're almost, it's already time's up. Pada, here the verse is talking about Vishnu Pada, Prabhu Pada, Vishnu Pada, Vishnu Rata. How to attain this lotus feet? Esyangri Padmam, Esyangri Pada Padmam, Adokshaja Pada Padmam. So, Aradhya Adokshaja Pada Padmam, Esyangri Padmam Paricharya. So, how to attain that lotus feet? So, Pada, P-A-D-A is called Pada in English. Now, what is first letter P? P means prayers. One must offer prayers every day. As I mentioned, as the Samsara Dava prayers we sing in Mangalarati. So we offer the six ashtakam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given 8 verses. Cheto Darpanamabjam, starting with those. We can offer like the beautiful prayer. Gopis are saying, Aidina Dayabdanata he Maturanata Katavalokase Hridayam Tvad Aloka Kataram Daita Brahmayati Kim Karomyaham. What should I do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is using these prayers of gopis. I am so fallen. Dina Dayarda, you are the master of the fallen. You are so merciful to the fallen. I am in that category. You are the Natha, you are the master. You are the Mathuranath, Dwarkanath, Katavalo. Please instruct me, please appear before me, please engage me. My heart is completely devastated. Please be merciful to me. Tell me, what should I do now? So, how can I serve you? Please tell me, instruct me. So, like this, many prayers are there. I'm just giving. So, think about it. You can use Kunti's prayers, based on Padma prayers, Gopi's prayers, whatever you are attracted to, attached to. You can use. That is the first thing. Pada means P. P also means protection. We must seek protection from the Supreme Lord. We should seek, sincerely pray for the protection, ask for protection. Take protection from the Supreme Lord. And then we must push ourselves to the maximum possible in the path. Otherwise, mind will become lazy. Mind will not let you go, let you engage in devotion service. That's not going to happen if we don't push ourselves We have to start pushing ourselves at least half an hour a day, whatever, 1 hour. Each and every individual is different, family situation, everything is different. We have to see what we can consider. We have to consider how we can push more and see where we can cut down unwanted things, prioritize things, and this is what we have to see, and then push ourselves. That is what P means. Prayers, protection, pushing ourselves to the maximum possible to come close to Lord Krishna and his devotees. Then the A, next letter A. A is nothing but act responsibly. We must act responsibly. Otherwise, it brings a calamity on our own self because by our own actions. So it is very important how we act. So then then next is association. Association of devotees is very important. So and then act. We should act in such a way that Lord Krishna is attracted. So this association also, Dhruva Maharaj is instructing. So he is giving the example how we can remove so our dirt from the heart by is clearly telling Prasidato Atyanta Samam Swata Swayam Yan Nitya Sambandha Nishevaya Tata Param Kim Atrasti Mukam Avir Bhuyam. First line, Pumal Labeta Anativelam Atmanaha. Anativelam means without any delay. By regular service to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, one can clear the dirt from their heart and thus enjoy supreme peace and liberation from the material attachment and be satisfied. In this world, there is nothing superior to serving the Brahmana class, for this can bring pleasure to the Supreme Lord. So this is the Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanavas Janama Janma Hai Abhilash. So that's why we must engage, and Lord himself has shown that by serving Sandeepan Muni, by serving Pandavas, by serving himself is offering obeisances, showing his own example. So in that way, same way, so we should also serve. That is the only way. Even Prabhupada Maharaj further went on to say that even Lord himself, even though is a Brahmanya Deva Purusha Puratana Nityam Harir Yat Charanabi Vandanat Avapalakshmi Manapayini Meso Jagat Pavitram Cha Mahatamagrani. He is the foremost of the Supreme, Mahatamagrani. How he became the so famous, he is telling, who is foremost among all great personalities, obtained the opulence of his staunch reputation. How did he get it? The way he got it is, which purifies the entire universe by worshipping the lotus feet of those Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. That's why when Sudama came, he worshipped the lotus feet. He washed water and he sprinkled that water on himself. And then we also see that how he did when even Narada Muni came also. All the palace, he worshipped his feet and he gave his own seat. He sat on his own bed. Rukmini, that bed, he allowed Narada Muni to sit down, and he was down at the bottom. He was serving. This is what Lord is instructing. And then when Lord Krishna went with all the sages to Srutadeva and Bhaulasva, one is a king, one is a poor Brahmana, poor great devotee though. So he is instructing. He was trying to serve the Lord, and he was asking how to come out of this situation, these material miseries and all. Even though he was perfect, but he is humbly submitting. Then Lord told, yes, Srutadeva, yes, you must serve these sages. They are so exemplary, so compassionate that they are coming everywhere with me, everywhere. Even though they have so much other things to do, but they coming compassionately, mercifully to your place, staying here with you to just give your mercy to you. So by serving them, so Lord Krishna is showing, they are telling, don't worship me, first worship them. By worshiping me, them I will be pleased. So that's why it is very important to understand this fact. This is the association aspect. Prayers, protection, pushing ourselves. A is act responsibly, and association act in such a way that Lord Krishna is attracted. Then the D is detect your own shortcomings. Delve deep into the ocean of bhakti. D also means develop internal detachment from worldly things. We have to constantly detect our shortcomings, our anarthas. We have to delve deep into the ocean of bhakti and develop internal detachment. Internal, not external. We shouldn't give up any work. Then A. So A means avoiding offenses, accepting our own faults, not finding faults with others, avoiding criticism, and available for services. We should avoid offenses. Seva aparad, Nama aparad, Deva, Vaishnava aparad. The Vaishnava aparad is the biggest grievous offense. By that, everything will be destroyed. Means it will come to standstill. It may take many lifetimes if we are not careful. We don't ask forgiveness. I discussed with Gopal Chapal, who has offended Haridas Thakur. Then he had to suffer with leprosy. Haridas Thakur tolerated. He didn't say anything. Chaitanya, Lord will take it immediately, because he, even if somebody offends, like Bhrigu Muni went and put his leg on his chest, Lord didn't take an offense. But if that happens to his devotee, then immediately it takes seriously. Lord takes seriously, because he will never tolerate that. Like Dhruva did to the Ambarish Maharaj, he didn't tolerate. Nobody, he couldn't escape. 1 year he had to wait. 1 year is such a long period. In his time, 1 year. In our time, it will be long. And he has to come back and fall at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj only. Nobody, not Lord Brahma, not Lord Shiva, not even Lord Vishnu. He told, I cannot save you, because you have to first seek protection from Ambarish Maharaj. You have to seek forgiveness, because you had did a great blunder. That's what Lord is showing by these examples from Srimad Bhagavatam again and again. By seeing Narada Muni also, you see that association. By simply, even the maid servant, son of a Sudrani, hardly, he was not qualified at all. Externally, if you look at it, he is son of a Sudrani. He was an ordinary servant boy, he doesn't have any basic things also. But by simply serving these Bhakti Vedanta pure devotees in Chaturmasa period, by just those 4 months only, that's it, they initiated him, he served, he took the remnants and everything, he just exactly followed their instruction. They left after 4 months, he exactly followed the instruction. This is in chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 1, and he attained it. He became Narada Muni in the next life. That's it. He was able to communicate with the Lord. He came to the Asakti and Baba stage within the same life, and then the Lord told, in the next life, when you give up this body, then you will become Narada Muni. So you will not see me again. I just gave you the audience so that your enthusiasm will increase. It will also happen to me, happen to us, if we follow. If you follow and follow that path under the guidance of spiritual master or association of devotee, yes, it can happen. It is not a impossible task at all. It's just a possible. So that's why we have to avoid offenses, accept our own faults, and avoid criticism, and available for services. And we see that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, even in this Sri Prabhupada disciple, Jayananda Prabhu, he immediately used to leave. From anybody criticizing, anybody discussing others bad about a devotee, immediately leave from that place. He will not even stay for a minute. Immediately. He is always first of all in service, always. Available for service. He is always himself in service and engaging others in service. That was his mood from the beginning, from day one. He was building Ratha Yatra cart. Prabhupada said he went back to God. Because by seeing his own behavior, immediately you can say where he is going to go. Prabhupada said, yes, put his picture everywhere, Ratha Yatra, before Ratha Yatra cart, whenever you do Ratha Yatra. That is the exalted position of a great Vaishnava who has performed his whole life, acting responsibly and acting in such a way that Lord Krishna himself is attracted, his devotee, his representative is attracted. By serving his representative, automatically Lord is pleased. Once his representative gives a blessing, gives something, that's it. Lord has to obey by that. Like Arjuna, Konte Prajane Name Bhakta Pranasati. He told Arjuna, boldly declare, my devotee will never perish. So yes, because that's why Arjuna, he had to, even though he already promised, he can break his own promise that I will not take weapon. But he took weapon, that chariot wheel in front of Bhishma. Because for devotees he will do anything. But devotees' promise he will not break. But his promise he is ready to break, because he doesn't care. That is what he is fully renounced. He doesn't care about his opulence or fame or what is going to happen. But for devotees' protection, he will do all those. He will run away from the battlefield. He will do all those things. Because for devotees, he will do anything and everything. He is Bhakta Vatsala. So in this way, that's why we have to understand much more elaborate topic in these points. I just gave the hints on the high level, because time otherwise will be much more longer. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Maharaj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktamundu ki jai. We'll end with one verse from Yamunacharya. Bhavantam evanucharam nirantara prasanna nishesha mano ratantara kadaham aikantika nitya kinkara praharsha isyami sanata jivitam. Let me always, please always engage me, make me your servant, and nirantara, always, prasanna, let me be pleased, become pleased and be satisfied always to please your desires, please your representatives' desires, and engage in your Nitya Kinkara. That will be the glorious, it will become, my life will become happy and glorious in this way. So, thank you, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter number 8. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home, verse number 17 to 20. 17 to 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanajalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Denatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu bhayevacha Padidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktamanda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Shil Rupa Goswam Rupad Ki Jai, Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Canto 4, chapter 8, verse number 17 to 20. 17 first. Dirgham swasanti vrajanasya param apasyati balakam mahabala ma amangalam tata pareshu mamsta bhungte jano yat paradukkadastat. Dirgham swasanti vrajanasya param apasyati balakam mahabala ma amangalam tata pareshu mamsta bhungte jano yat paradukkadastat. Dirgham swasanti vrajanasya param apasyati balakam mahabala ma amangalam tata pareshu mamsta bhungte jano yat paradukkadastat. Word Dirgham, heavy, swasanti, breathing, vrijanasya, of the danger, param, limitation, apasyati, without finding, balakam, to her son, aha, said, bala, the lady, ma, let there not be, amangalam, ill fortune, tata, my dear son, pareshu, unto others, mamsta, desire, bhungte, suffered, jana, person, here that which, paradukkadha, who is apt to inflict pains upon others. That translation by Dhruva says, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, my dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from that pain. Please repeat. She also was breathing very heavily. She did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, my dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from that pain. Verse number 18. This doesn't have purport. but very, very important verse. 4, 8, 17. Very, very important verse. Verse number 18. Satyam surucha abhihitam bhavan me yaddurбhagaya udare grihita stanyena vriddascha vilajjate yam bharye divavodam itaspater mam. Satyam, truth, Suruchya, by Queen Suruchi, abhihitam, narrated, bhavan, unto you, me, of me, yet because durbhagaya, of the unfortunate, udare, in the womb, gruhita, taken birth, tanyena, fed by breast milk, vruddha, cha, grown up, vilajjate, becomes ashamed, yam, unto one, bharya, wife, iti, thus, va, or, vodum, to accept, idam, patihi, the king, mom, me, translation. Sri Prabhupada, Suniti said, my dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up. Please repeat. Suniti said, my dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up. Verse number 19. This also doesn't have purport. So verse number 19. Atishtatattat avimatsarastvam vuktam samatrapi yad avyalikam आराध्य अदोक्षजपादपाद्मं विरिच्यसे आध्यासनम उत्तमो यथा. Third line is very important. First word vimatsara and aradhya adoksha padpadmam. First one word in the first line and the third line is very important. Atishta, just execute that tata, my dear son, vimatsaraha, without being envious, tvam, unto you, uttam, said, samatrapi, by your stepmother, yat, whatever, avyalikam, they are all factual. Aradhya, just begin worshipping. Adokshaya, the transcendence. Pada Padmam, lotus feet. Yadi, if ichase, desire. Adhyasanam, to be seated along with Uttama, your stepbrother. Yata, as much as. Translation. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother, Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in the worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepmother, Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in the worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse number, the purport. The harsh words used by Suruchi to her stepson was true, because unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruva engage himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, the words of Suruchi were the benediction of Dhruva Maharaj, for because of the influence of his stepmother's words, he became a great devotee. So, verse number 20. यस्यांग्रि पद्मं परिचर्य विश्वविभावनया आत्तगुणाविपत्ते अजो अद्य तिष्ठत् खलु पारमेष्ट्यं पदं जितात्मस्वसनाभिवन्द्यम्. Very important verse, this also, 17 to 20. So this is 20th. यस्यांग्रि पद्मं परिचर्य विश्वविभावनया आत्तगुणाविपत्ते अजो अद्य तिष्ठत् खलु पारमेष्ट्यं पदं जितात्मस्वसनाभिवन्द्यम्. यस्यांग्रि पद्मं परिचर्य विश्वविभावनया आत्तगुणाविपत्ते अजो अद्य तिष्ठत् खलु पारमेष्ट्यं पदं जितात्मस्वसनाभिवन्द्यम्. Yasya, whose angry leg, Padmam, lotus feet, Paricharya, worshipping, Visva, universe, Vibhavanaya, for creating, Atta, received, Gunavipatte, for acquiring the required qualifications, Aja, the unborn, Lord Brahma, Adyateshta, became situated, Kalu, undoubtedly, Parameshtyam, the supreme position within the universe, Padam, position, Jitatma, one who has conquered his mind, Swasana, by controlling the life air, Abhivandyam, worshipable, translation. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great grandfather Lord Brahma acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, prana. Please repeat. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great grandfather Lord Brahma acquired the necessary qualifications to create the universe. Although he is unborn and he is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in the exalted post because of the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, prana. Purport. Suniti cited the example of Lord Brahma, who was Dhruva Maharaj's great grandfather. Although Lord Brahma is also a living being, by his penance and austerity, he acquired the exalted position of creator of this universe by the mercy of Supreme Lord. To become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indication had been given to Dhruva Maharaj by his stepmother and was now confirmed by his own mother Suniti. It's very important verses, the 17 to 20, lot of instructions. We'll try to condense it. आजानुडम्बित भुजो कनकावदातो संकीर्तनैकपितरो कमलाय तक्षो विश्वम्बरो द्विजरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो आनन्दलीलामय विग्रहाय हेमावदिव्य च विसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेमरसप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते.